Tsahi, let's check how your hardware is connected. OK, it is perfect. How is your microphone? Please say something.
I think it's fine.
OK, so please, audience attention is all yours. And after your talk, I will help with questions and answer session.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. My name is Tsahi Levent Levi. I'm the author / owner / whatever of a site called BlogGeekMe. And I'm here to talk to you about WebRTC. And to start off, I'd like to ask a question. Anyone knows what WebRTC is besides hearing this morning what Alexei said? OK. Have you used it? More than once? OK. So let's check. Now, WebRTC, in terms of the definition, is simply the ability to offer real-time communication from inside the web browser. You don't need to install anything. It is just there. So you open up a browser. It can be today Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari. And you can start doing a voice or video call, or other things. All of them with the use of WebRTC. What it essentially is a kind of a media engine, okay? A way to send messages over a network, voice and video messages, through a network with the JavaScript APIs on top. So if you go to the browser and you want to start developing, you can use JavaScript APIs that the browser supports in order to do such a thing. Now, one thing to remember, WebRTC is a technology. It is not a solution. Okay? You cannot come and say, OK, let's compare Skype to WebRTC. Which one's better? It doesn't work like that because WebRTC is just a technology and Skype is a solution. What you want to do is compare Skype, for example, with something else that you are trying to develop with WebRTC. So your own application and service. A lot of the things that will happen, the quality and the feature set, will rely on what you do with WebRTC in your application. WebRTC is only 6 years old. That's not a lot. It was announced 6 years ago, and only now it came to a point where we are now can speak confidently that WebRTC 1.0, the actual specification from W3C and the IETF, will be out and standardized probably next year. One thing to remember, though, is that it relies on voice over IP technology that it is a lot older. So there is really nothing new in WebRTC when it comes to voice over IP. We do mostly the same things. We use slightly different codecs maybe, but it's the same techniques and technologies that we had in order to do voice over IP before. Now, a few companies that use WebRTC, just to give you a scope of how big it is today. And I'll start with the biggest name of all, Facebook. Okay? If you look at Facebook Messenger, they announced last month that 400 million monthly active users do voice and video calls in Facebook Messenger using WebRTC. Okay? 400 million people a month. So imagine the number of calls you have there. That's about 10% of VoIP traffic today, or international traffic, done through Facebook. Then we've got Slack. The biggest, most interesting, highest growing, whatever, enterprise communication type of a company. They added voice and video calling into their platform, and yes, they've used WebRTC to do that. The third company is one that I knew for more than a year, but I recently talked to their CTO. It's Discord. Discord is a kind of a social network for gamers. If you play an online game and you want to talk either during the game or after the game or before the game with people that play the same game, you log into Discord to do that. And Discord apparently uses WebRTC to handle all of its voice and video interactions among people. So you can go into chat rooms on Discord, or to a server, how it's called in Discord, and find the group you want to talk with and go and chat with text. And you can also open a voice session in there. And you can get into a session with hundreds of people doing a voice call together, a very large group conference call. All of that is built over WebRTC. Now, why does it happening? Why it is happening today? The first reason is that WebRTC lowers the cost of doing voice and video communications over the internet. WebRTC itself comes in as an open source code, a very high quality one, and it's already implemented inside the browser. So a lot of the work that you would have need to do before is no longer necessary. And that causes a reduction in barrier of entry to other players. So if you're a small company and you want to do something, you can use WebRTC for that today. It would cost you a lot less than it used to 5 or 6 years ago. It also means that there are now other players that come in and use WebRTC. We are no longer talking about telecom and voice over IP. We're talking about web developers and application developers. Different things that you can build with WebRTC include consumer to consumer, business to business, and business to consumer. Every type of a use case fits into WebRTC as long as it requires interaction between people, real-time interaction. Now, that's easy. But what happens if what you want to do is to build a very specific product for a very specific niche? What does that exactly mean? Or where can we find WebRTC in things that are smaller than Facebook? So the answer is everywhere. That's like a list that I've done and placed on a tag cloud with different types of use cases and companies that I actually talk to that make use of WebRTC. I see the giggling, yes. I've talked to more than a single porn company about WebRTC. At the same time, I've spoken to a woman in San Francisco who is, she had cancer, stage 4. She's fine now, and she was a dancer, and she said, I want to build a service where women who have cancer can join into dance lessons remotely without going out of their homes. Why? Because when they go through chemotherapy and they don't have hair, they just don't want to go outside. And I want to give them that opportunity. Okay? I've talked to hospital clowns in Sweden, I think, or the Netherlands, around the use of WebRTC instead of Skype, and a lot of other different types of use cases. So whatever it is you think that can be done with WebRTC, probably can be done with WebRTC. I'm also collecting data of these vendors and what they are doing. And what you see here is essentially the mix-up of all the vendors that I have in a data set. This is around 1,300 companies. So 1,300 companies using WebRTC. You see that a lot of them, about 50% around video communication, contact centers, telephony and collaboration. And then we've got this small thing called streaming. That's live broadcasts. You see it today with things like Facebook Live and a few other vendors that use that. And then there's verticals. Verticals means we are going to do something that uses voice or video communication, but it's not going to be general. It's going to be very specific to a very specific market need that we have. And if we drill down into that, what we see is that a lot of these vendors are building healthcare type solutions. Healthcare can mean I am going to use a phone to contact a doctor. Okay. You actually can do that today in Israel from the larger HMO, and they use WebRTC for that. There are a lot of other vendors that do that around the world today. It can be a use case where you contact from one healthcare center to another. Because I'm in a rural area, I don't have a specialist in a specific doctrine. So I'm going to call remotely from one doctor to another to consult. I've seen group therapy done using WebRTC, multiple people coming in and talking to a psychiatrist together as a group. And also a use case where several psychiatrists talk among themselves once a week about the cases that they have. So these are different things that go into healthcare. You see the same happening in education. It can be one-on-one sessions, large room sessions, webinars, school, things that happen before, after lessons, whatever. Lots of things that can be built using WebRTC, with a lot of focus today on healthcare and education. These are the fastest growing niches when it comes to WebRTC. Now, it's all nice and rosy, but we need to remember one thing. WebRTC sits somewhere between voice over IP and the web. Okay? Between WebRTC and the web. If you know voice over IP, that's where I came from, then you probably know that there are certain ways in which you make calls. You use SIP for signaling. Okay, there is mute, parking, pickup, transfer, conference, and a lot of other types of services that go into a call. That's how you think. There are ways in which you scale a VoIP system. If you come from the web and web development, then you probably know that there is PHP and Node.js and MySQL, and today there is MongoDB and Elasticsearch and a lot of other technologies, and with them you go, you build a service, you scale out horizontally, you put an HA proxy on top, and everything works. Totally different way and totally different mindset of how you build stuff. And now when we've got WebRTC somewhere in the middle there, it becomes a challenge of who is developing it and how they are doing that. Okay, so there are challenges there as well. And when you come to develop something with WebRTC, as someone that has an idea to build something, there are usually two ways to do that. First of all is, well, I'm going to develop it on my own. I've got my own company, my own developers. I'm going to let them do that. Or I can say, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hire someone from an outsourcing vendor to build it for me. I have my own developers. They will build the UI, the business logic, or whatever, or nothing at all. But this outsourcing vendor will do the rest. And I need to pick someone that actually knows how to use WebRTC for that. So that's one decision we need to make. Who is going to do the development? Our company or an outsourcing vendor? On the second part, I need to decide, is this going to be a managed solution where someone else is hosting the whole infrastructure and communication service for me, and I just pay for the use of it? Or is it going to be an on-premise solution? Something that I install and deploy on hardware that I own. Okay? If we look at the managed part, then one option is to say I'm going for an integration. I'm going to look for something that does a video conferencing service, one-on-one with recording, get it as a widget in an iframe and embed it into my website, and I'm done. There are services that enable you to do that. The second option is to go for something like CPaaS, Communication Platform as a Service. Vox Implant offers a CPaaS service. You go, use APIs, and you build whatever you want on top of it. Very flexible, allows you to do a lot of things. The third alternative is to go piecemeal. I'm going to take, the voice part from that vendor and manage it there. I'm going to host the signaling over there. Not traversal, I'm going to take for a third vendor, and each one of them hosts a solution on its own. So for signaling, I can use something like Pusher or PubNub or Firebase. And if I want to do not traversal, I'll go to Cirrus, for example, that offers just a service running on AWS with their own turn servers. So I don't need to deal with that. Okay, turn is a type of a server that is required in WebRTC for not traversal. If we go on-premise, then there's a decision to make there as well. Am I going to go for a public cloud, host it on AWS or Amazon or Azure or SoftLayer or whoever, DigitalOcean, or to go for real on-prem? I'm going to put hardware inside a data center and manage these machines from scratch, bare metal. Okay? Both alternatives are fine. It all depends what you need. In many cases, you'll say, I need real on-prem because my customer doesn't allow me to do anything else, or because that's what I do anyway. Or you might say, I just don't care, let someone else deal and manage all that for me. I don't want to deal with the day-to-day upgrades and bug fixing and issues that arise. If you go to my website, there's the WebRTC Developer Tools landscape that you can go and check. Each group here shows different parts of the landscape. So browsers, standalone SDKs, CPaaS, media server, signaling, different types of solutions with the vendors that exist in each one of them. You can go, just download it and check, and you can mix and match or pick the vendors that you want to work with. And if you want to learn more about WebRTC, then you can go to that URL, bit.ly WebRTC course. There is an online course called Advanced WebRTC Architecture. It's a course that I've made about a year ago, and there are people that are taking it. There's a huge discount for this weekend, available until Monday. Just put the coupon code Intercom if you are interested. It also works for large corporations. So if you want more than a single person, that can be handled as well. You can find me later on. I'll be here the whole day, so come and say hi. Thank you.
Аплодисменты. И у нас есть целых 4 минуты, чтобы задавать вопросы. Спикер все это время будет на площадке рядом с кофе, так что вы сможете подходить и общаться с одним из лучших специалистов по WebRTC. Коллеги, спрашивайте, вы можете спрашивать по-английски, либо по-русски. В этом случае я обеспечу почти реал-тайм перевод. Коллеги, ваши вопросы? Ваши вопросы? Коллеги? Ладно, давайте так, кто-нибудь что-нибудь понял? Достаточно ли хороший у Тсахи английский? Достаточно ли хорошо вы разбираетесь в английском? Ну что ж, вопросов нет. Tsahi, no questions is a sign that your talk is perfect and does not require any questions. Please, another round of applause to Tsahi. Thank you. And we will be waiting for you at coffee section and coffee section. I am sure many people will come to you in person to learn how all this magic can be used right now in business and what are pitfalls, like everything does not working. Окей. Итак, коллеги, следующая смена спикеров.